In this issue of Fashion Classics, go back to the fall of 1993. In the fashion news, designers were hopping around the timeline for inspiration. Then it's a course in American history at Coach. Nostalgia reigned at the Jewels of Fantasy exhibit at New York's Fashion Institute of Technology. And design superstar Thierry Mugler was reinventing 40s glamour for the 90s. Maybelline revitalized a beauty from the 70s, modeling star Donna Sexton. It's a trip through time for a look back at 1993. The fall of 1993 seemed to be more like watching a period movie marathon than a fashion show. Centuries collided, and the timeline got a little blurred as designers visited the past for inspiration. The first stop on the fashion timeline was the Middle Ages. They may have looked like Maid Marian costumes, but what these Gothic frocks had in common with the 20th century was a no-nonsense sensibility. At second glance, these simple pared-down silhouettes were right for 1993. Next, there is much ado about the 18th century. In contrast to the ascetic Middle Ages, the 18th century was a romp in the park. But full skirts and full busts were only part of the fall '93 story, as women's wear borrowed from the few good men of the 18th century. Then a visit to Queen Victoria's court was in order, but old Vic would have been scandalized by these Victorian cross-dressers. (1993's news and menswear looks were oh so elegant Victorian frock coats. But the time that best summed up the new femininity was the Edwardian period. Whether it was a fluttering Empire silhouette or a soft dandy coat, the Edwardian look of 1993 captured the romance of a bygone era. And of course, designers still had a yen for the 1970s, which itself was a time to look back to all these past periods. Flares were subtler, and the outrageousness was nearly gone, as the disco decade was remembered with sexy sweater dressing. It's 1993's look back to the future. The Coach Company was founded over 50 years ago by 6 skilled leather crafters in a Manhattan loft. By 1993, Coach was the premier American manufacturer of leather handbags and accessories, and it all started with a baseball glove.
The founder of Coach, Miles Kahn, was taken by the fact that a baseball glove, as you use it, gets softer and more supple. And he had what was then a radical idea. He thought, aha, why don't I use this heavy cowhide, the 6-ounce cowhide, and make leather products out of it and keep them natural so that I'm using the actual natural skins. I can dye the leather, drum dye it all the way through so that it takes on different colorations. But it's basically going to be natural, untreated leather, and it'll get softer and more supple with age.
It has a lot of very particular characteristics about it. It burnishes over time, it becomes more lustrous as you use it. It's a very, very beautiful leather, which lends itself to a very simple construction of bags, and it wears extremely well.
Although some Coach lines are now made with a lighter weight leather, the basic design principles hold true from 50 years ago. Though the Coach factories are located in New Jersey, Florida, and Puerto Rico, the brainstorming and preliminary work is still done in that same Manhattan loft. Headed by John Stokes, the design team at Coach continues to update the old classics and create brand new modern ones.
Everything we do is custom designed so that it has our unique signature on it. And it's kind of exciting actually that this is where it all used to happen, and now in a bigger way it's still happening here. The leather is really an integral part of the design of the bag. We use different leathers. Each one of those leathers helps determine the character of the bag. Some leathers are firmer, some are softer, some have a little drape, some don't. The hardware on all of these bags is solid brass, which is one of our trademarks. The tone lock has been used for many, many years at Coach and has almost become a signature piece for us.
At Coach, quality is word one. The leather goes through a careful screening process before it even reaches the factory. It is then die cut in cookie cutter form. Each bag is hand sewn with hand turned edges. Threads are even trimmed by flame to prevent fraying. The artisans at Coach work in teams, where everyone is responsible for each product. Each team member fulfills a function in constructing a bag, and everyone inspects the finished product.
We have a big, big range of people, from those who are right at the beginning of their careers to those who've been in their careers for many, many years. And I've never actually added up how many hundreds of years of experience we have working up in these studios, but it must be many hundreds of years, I should think.
And the Coach tradition has earned it a place in American history, a fact that they've taken advantage of.
We have a campaign called the American Legacy, and the campaign features the descendants of famous Americans, basically from all walks of life. We are part of the American landscape, and the intent of the campaign was really to say that many generations on, very accomplished sons and daughters of famous Americans carry Coach.
With socks, belts, ties, scarves, and a new line of leather jackets, Coach has carved a niche as a true modern classic.
We sell products to one customer at a time, and our hope and intention every time is to start a long-term relationship with that consumer.
After a while, the bag seems to become part of the person's personality. It becomes more than just a handbag. It kind of makes them in some way feel comfortable.
We consciously design the product to be broadly appealing, and we try to build a lot of value, a lot of quality, a lot of functionality, and a lot of durability in it. But what ultimately makes it so broadly appealing is that we try to style it in a way that harmonizes with anything you might wear, any lifestyle you might have.
A Coach bag allows you to be who you are. It doesn't walk in the room ahead of you. It doesn't talk to you about somebody else's values. It talks about who you are. It talks about your values.
Coach, an American legacy. With 1993's nostalgia for the past, costume jewelry experienced a comeback. A retrospective at New York's Fashion Institute of Technology investigated the appeal of the accessory trend that Coco Chanel made popular.
Jewels of Fantasy is the first major exhibition of its kind. It's the first retrospective look at the story of costume jewellery in the 20th century. It looks at the development of styles from 1900 to the present day. It shows the two different branches of costume jewellery, one which is imitative and looks very much like the real thing, and the other which is totally creative and blazes a whole new design trail of its own. I think one of the misconceptions about costume jewellery is that it's, in inverted commas, junk jewellery or very cheap jewellery, and in fact it is often very expensive and was very expensive even at the time it was made. The processes that go into making a piece of costume jewellery are very time-consuming and really just the same as the processes that go into making a piece of real jewellery. The masters, the original piece, which will then turn into a mass production piece, has to be made by hand. A mould has to be made, and finally the stones are hand set. The piece is often hand finished. It varies, of course, from manufacturer to manufacturer. I think women have always loved costume jewellery because it's a way of selling dreams or buying dreams. It's a way of dressing up as well, and they can have great fun with costume jewellery. They can also use it as a way of expressing their individuality, and in today's life it's a wonderful way of expressing the many different roles that women have to play even within the course of one day. The trend is towards a closing of the gap between real jewellery and costume jewellery, and I hope that people will regard jewellery as adornment irrespective of its materials, and perhaps this is one of the aims of the whole exhibition, people to take a fresh look at jewellery as an item of adornment.
One man who has always been influenced by a glamorous past is designer Thierry Mugler. Mugler's clothes are strongly influenced by the 1940s and 50s fashions, figure-hugging styles interpreted for modern times. His vision of dress is based on simple yet powerful lines.
Everybody can look like a goddess, you know. It's so interesting to use all those tricks we have now. So yes, why not?
Mugler began designing his own clothes while a dancer for the ballet troupe of the Rhine Opera. By the late 1970s, fashion became his stage, and his fashion shows became grand ceremonies. To celebrate the 10th anniversary of his couture house in 1984, Mugler organized the first public fashion exhibition in Europe before 6,000 spectators. In '93, glamour was his top priority.
My fashion philosophy is more a philosophy by itself than a fashion philosophy. Because I think I'm just taking care of making human beings, especially women, looking beautiful. And it's not so much about fashion, it's more about look and efficiency of basic of glamour will always make you look good. It's not about intellectual ideas. I just want to help. I just want to see beautiful women.
And Mugler oversees every detail of making his woman beautiful.
Et ça manque un peu de rythme là. De couleur peut-être. Ou un poil d'or là. Now you can be a little bit more present. You can look at people. What about making more like a little more cat? Okay. Exaggerated.
He is also an innovative and daring photographer. His images are majestic, conveying a sense of strength and vitality. But in 1993, Mugler was shooting for the heavens with his first woman's scent, Angel.
Thierry Mugler really wanted to make people dream. And dreams happens with stars. And Thierry Mugler's favorite color is also light blue. So the star is up in the sky. And all this is in perfect coherence together. And it has a lot of magic, light blue color, the blue color of the fragrance. So all this makes really people dream.
The fragrance is a project I've been working for 10 years. And it's a great perfume, very new. It's actually opening a new direction on perfume because there's a fragrance and essence in it that we had to specially create to do this fragrance. And there's things that have never been used, like chocolate and coffee and stuff like that. And it's very tender and also very strong.
The bottle is a very precious object. The blue glass makes it absolutely magic. When it comes to the fragrance, Thierry Mugler had a very clear idea what he wanted to do with the fragrance. And he was talking to me about childhood memories. He wanted to have something really unique, pure and sensual at the same time. The fragrance itself is a real innovation. It does not resemble to any one other fragrance. And I think a consumer has a real added value and this very unique feeling when she uses Angel.
It's by public demand. All the women in the world, they ask for us, so we go there. Here we are.
Fashion star of 1993 and today, Thierry Mugler. The 1970s. It was a time when the world was inundated with images of modeling superstars like Patty Hansen, Rosie Vela, and Lauren Hutton. But the cameras stopped flashing, and they went on to other things. In 1993, there was a renewed interest in many of the 70s superstars. Calvin Klein cast many older, familiar faces in his fall 1993 runway show. And clothing companies like Donna Karan and J. Crew featured these models in their ads. What was happening? Was it a fad? Was it a reflection of the changing beauty ideal? Or was the industry owning up to the fact that a large number of fashion and beauty consumers were getting older? It was the beginning of beauty products and clothing that addressed the needs of the aging baby boomer.
65% of the women in this country are 35 and older. And obviously the trend is going to grow as we all age as a society. And I think this is only the beginning of the trend.
And one company on top of the trend was Maybelline, with its 1993 introduction of Maybelline Revitalizing, a new product line developed for the 35 and over crowd. Since its inception in 1915, Maybelline has remained on the pulse of the industry, with innovative products and high standards.
Maybelline Revitalizing is a full line of face products. We have a liquid foundation, we have a pressed powder blush, and a concealer product. And all the Revitalizing products have special light diffusers. They contain an SPF of 10, and they really minimize the look of lines and little fine lines and wrinkles that start to appear on a woman's skin as she gets a little bit older. We know it's very, very important that we offer these women the value they need, but also in products that really perform. And we have had women call us, and we've had women write us letters and say they used a department store brand for years and years, and they name that brand, and they're so excited to know that Maybelline now offers something comparable at an affordable price.
I'm 40.
Maybe she's born with it.
Companies like Clairol and Maybelline are really progressive. They're on top of the trends, and they're using these wonderful older models in their ads, and they're getting a very enthusiastic response.
At 19, Donna Sexton was a hit, and that was over 20 years ago. After a decade of modeling, Donna assumed that her new role as a mother of triplets would mark the end of her career. But after a 5-year hiatus, in '93, Donna was back in the spotlight.
I just love the message that it's sending to women, because so many times, it's like it's okay for men to get older, for their hair to gray, they become more distinguished. We find it attractive for them to have wrinkles, and it's only now that it's okay for a woman to have a few wrinkles, and that she can be in her 30s and have children and be a mom and still look beautiful and sexy. And I mean, that's a great message for women.
Donna joined Maybelline in making up the face of 1993.
You know, Donna, one of the things I really love about the new Revitalizing Makeup Base, it's so soft and satiny when you put it on. It really blends nicely. Donna, when I apply a concealer under the eyes, I always make sure that I apply it very lightly so that you're really not going to be pressing or pulling the eye area too much. When I apply blush, what I like to do is I like to just take my brush, softly pat it on the palette, and then just very lightly take it over the cheek area, very softly. Also, you know what I do, Donna? After I put the blush on, I take the pressed powder, which is really a nice shade, and I just blend over the blush, just so that there's no demarcation or lines when you finish. And it
softens the blush even more.
Yeah, it just softens it, and it just makes it look real natural.
I started using these lighter colors instead of chapstick a lot of times because it takes care of the sunscreen.
They're great.
My lips are always so dry from the sun in the winter, so it kind of moisturizes.
Well, these colors by Maybelline are nice because they're sheer and they're just very soft and muted.
And they're not frosted.
Yeah, I love it. Whenever I apply mascara, Donna, I love to start at the base of the eyelash. And what I do is I just take the wand and I have you look just down a little bit, and I take it from the base and then I just apply upward.
I think women are ready to see women who reflect the same confidence and attitude and age as they are.
That's what the industry was telling me. It's okay to be in your 30s, 40s, or whatever you are. You can still be beautiful.
I think it's something that everybody can relate to and hopefully have a happier group of people, so they're not trying to strive to achieve something that's not achievable.
Age is no longer a big deal. Ageless is what this trend is about.
A fashionable trip through time with a stop in 1993 from Fashion Classics.